You, your mama and your cousin too, rolling down the strip on boats, coming up slamming Cadillac doors. Man, I just had to drop a little Outcast just because our guests in the building today, Pat, you know.
We're going to have a heavy influence of the A.
Yeah, I know we are, brother. So it's
There'll be some Atlanta rapid fire questions today.
Oh, that's what you're going to do today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Atlanta rapid fire.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not that Atlanta. Hold up.
Well, we're going to find out, aren't we?
We're going to give you love from everywhere. So
Okay.
before we start, you know, we got to pay these bills. So go ahead and do what you do, Pat.
Episode 38, Politics. Politic and Jara Larry Love from the all-new Studio 239, where your story starts here, the hottest podcast studio in Southwest Florida.
Facts.
It's not just a podcast studio, it's a movement. And Politic and Jara Larry Love is brought to you by Becker Custom Builders, the luxury home remodeler in all of Southwest Florida. Of course, the Maxwell Mortgage Team, Alda's Diner, where Larry's got a plate named after him.
Facts.
What do you got named after you at Alda's Diner, Larry?
Man, that country fried steak, baby.
What's it called, though?
What you mean? What it's called?
What is your meal called?
I don't know what you're trying to. I don't know where you're trying to go.
I'm
with
not
that.
going anywhere. The Larry Love plate, the country fried steak. I'm not going anywhere.
I gotta watch him. You know what I'm saying? I don't be knowing what you be trying to do.
We're already starting
man.
with that.
Yeah, I'll be.
We'll address that as
Okay.
well. Salons Energy, Eric and Anita Carter. We also have Lee Corp Homes, DTA Naples, Miss Petra. Also would like to thank Nuviva and T Clinics, Nuviva Weight Loss T Clinics. We'll be partnering some stuff with them. So shout out to our guy, Jeff Delaney, Tina D Agency, Tina Del Rosa, tax season. Go see Tina. I did. She handled my car insurance as well. So we love Tina.
And one of the numero uno law firms in Southwest Florida, as Pat say, for handling divorce and contract issues. Martin Law Firm, one time for my main man, Steve, and his beautiful wife. Thank you all. I appreciate you all a lot as well.
Offices in Naples, Fort Myers, Cape Coral, and Tampa. We hope you don't need a divorce, but if you do, go see Steve. And we also want to thank Alamo, the Alamo gun range. We're going to have some gift cards we're going to be giving out, so we want to thank them. And, of course, Goated and Red State Golf. And before I kick off, there's a little controversy on the last podcast. People are like, man, why are you prying at Larry and digging at Larry like that? It's like, man, if you wouldn't understand. It's friendly love. And just to show you how much my brother loves me, just got back from Colombia and brought me back these nice Armanis. So I appreciate it. Rock them here for the first time on the podcast.
Man, the temperature just dropped 7 degrees. The temperature just dropped 7 degrees
cool
in here.
on 'em.
Too cool.
Too cool on them.
I appreciate it. You think I pulled these off, Tim? Yeah? All right. Thank you, my brother. You know I love you. It's all fun that we have on the podcast.
Oh, man, for sure, for life, baby, you know.
And we have a special visitor who made a special appearance, a special trip to Naples just to bless us to come on the podcast today. I'm going to let you introduce this young lady, Larry. Who do we got on today?
Man, listen, it's a story behind this young lady. First, I was at the event, right? I saw her, but later on she came up to me and we just started talking. But really what intrigued me to be intrigued even more was her wanting to get next to me and wanting to learn from me. I'm like, Larry, what do you know? And why did your confidence level? Like you walk in like you own something. And she like, teach me, show me. And I was like, say less.
And where was this at?
We was in the A. What was
I
it?
met you at the RNC.
The RNC, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we just took off from there. But anyway, America knows her as the first Chick-Fil-A girl. But her name is Michaelah Montgomery.
Yes, the Michaelah Montgomery.
Michaelah
yes,
Montgomery.
Yes,
You
yes,
know.
yes.
Let it be known.
Let it be known.
Let it be
I wish
known.
we had some Chick-fil-A today to
Nah, Chick-Fil-A
make
ain't paying us.
No, they
And she...
Not yet.
Yeah,
Y'all
not
give
yet.
me a
So,
call.
I'm surprised. That would be a no-brainer.
so, how I always started, who are you, Eminem?
I am
The real
the
Michaelah.
yes. I am the real Michaelah. Please stand up. No, but I am a people person. I am a connector. Folks back where I live call me the plug, you know? So I
In a
am
good
really
way.
just out here doing God's work. That's all. I am a missionary on a mission.
Tell us about that mission. Missionary?
Well, I feel like one of the things that I noticed in my studies in college and then in my grassroots work after and during college is that a lot of Black folks don't necessarily have the information they need to get the resources and tools that they want in order to, take that next step in order to achieving success. And once I realized how easy it was to walk into the Capitol and that you could just walk right into City Hall and that you could really bump elbows and brush shoulders with the folks that you feel like are unreachable to you, I was like, somebody's got to go back and tell these folks that these people aren't as inaccessible as they are led to believe. And then, I wanted to be like, you don't have to be rich to play this game. You don't have to look a certain way to play this game. So to Larry's point about how we met, it's like Larry's big and tall and loud and like, the outfits. And I'm like, who is this? Like, what is he doing? And it was just so interesting
Not a
to
typical
me.
Republican.
Not
Let's
even
be
just
real.
a typical Republican, but just even being in politics, period. Because even on the Democrat side, you don't see a lot of men like him.
True.
And so just for him to be who he is and to carry himself that way, I'm like, how can I get to that level without having to change who I am? Because, a lot of people told me be a little quieter. People suggested that I straighten my hair. People suggested that, I change the way I dress and I change the way I talk. And I feel like I could do all those things, but none of those things would have made me stand out to the president.
Absolutely.
And
You just mentioned president.
yes, the
What
president.
president and how did you meet such?
Hold on,
The Donald Trump.
Before you get to that, so I want to know how, because I watched Roland Martin and he said you were planted into Chick-Fil-A by the Trump administration. So walk me through that. How does Trump plant you at Chick-Fil-A?
Trump never
I'm being
planted me
sarcastic,
nowhere. I was
obviously.
exactly
Yeah.
where I was supposed to
Yep.
be. So no, it was actually, how presidents will plan to go visit restaurants. This was something, him going there was planned.
Planned.
Me being there and doing what I did,
You
not
didn't know.
planned.
So you didn't know he was going to be there.
No,
that
I knew
day?
he was going to
be there.
Yeah. So everybody tells the story different. Hear it from the horse's mouth.
Okay.
I got the call the night before that I needed to be at a restaurant and we were going to meet Trump. And I'm thinking that it's going to be like this big restaurant and he's going to speak and go
Who
off
calls
stage.
you?
My friend Dom, who is the state director for Georgia BCF.
Okay.
BCF, Black Conservative Federation, led by Deontay Johnson. So she calls and she goes, hey, we have the opportunity to meet Trump tomorrow. And I was like, okay, like I'll go. And I'm thinking we're just going to go see him speak.
Sure.
And so then the next morning I get the call and they're like, yeah, it's at Chick-Fil-A. And I was like, Chick-Fil-A? Shit, okay. So they were like, do you know anybody else that might want to come? And me, I have Conserve the Culture, which is, I guess, it started as just a resource for the college students that I knew. I went to Clark Atlanta University, woo woo, the illustrious. And so HBCU students lack resources more than I feel Black students at PWIs do. Not to say that anybody, is more in need or, everybody's situation is different, but just how you can access different offices and things like that to get pointed in the right direction. My experience at my HBCU is I feel like they could have done a lot more to point us in the right direction to get where we needed to be post-graduation. And so for me, since I was, sophomore, junior in college, meeting all these people, I wanted to extend that access to other students as well. And so I have a group chat that consists of about 250 kids, and they go to Clark Atlanta, they go to Spelman, they go to Morehouse, and they go to Morris Brown. So all I did was put in a group chat, do any of y'all want to meet Trump? And they were like, the Donald Trump? And I was like, yeah, the one, Big Don. And they were like, oh, snap, yeah, we do. And so they all lined up, and everybody, the Chick-fil-A is damn near on campus. So they walked from campus to Chick-fil-A, and they sat there and they waited for that man to show up. So the thing that really sucks that I hated is the news tried to make it seem like they were so excited because he bought food. Those kids were excited and jumped up out of their seats when the motorcade pulled up. And so another part that the news didn't show you guys, the part right before I did my famous line that everybody loves now is Donald Trump had turned around and all the students were like crammed up in a space about this big, and they were all standing in front and behind each other. And Trump is like, so how can I help you guys? What can I do for you? And the kids just start screaming, I can't pay my tuition. I can't afford books. I can't afford food. I can't afford housing. Da, 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 da. And he's looking and he goes, a lot of you guys are saying a lot of the same things. You guys are saying the same things. What's going on here? So that's when I took it upon myself to be the representative of the group, as I should. And I'm like, well, Mr. Trump, these are all HBCU students. They're all suffering from the same things because, you know, they're all students. This is Clark, Spelman, Morehouse, and Morris Brown, and they all came out here to support you. So it's like, I don't care what the media says. Like, you have support over here in these parts. And before I knew it, before I even left the restaurant, I was everywhere.
Yeah, you.
And so that's how that happened. And the executive director who handles his events, his name's Justin. Well, he doesn't do that anymore, but that's what he was doing at the time. And he walks up to me and he goes, "Oh my God, like your energy is amazing. Like, who are you?" And I was like, I'm just Kayla, it's just me. And then he writes his number down on a napkin and he was like, "Please call me. I want to connect you with the president. The president wants to meet you." I said, okay. So then I go home and I'm dealing with all my phone blowing up because everybody's like, "Kayla, you're on the news. Kayla, you're on the Shade Room. Kayla, you're on this, you're on that, you're on that." And I'm like, whoa, what happened? And so I get home and then I call Justin and he goes, "I'm here on the plane with Trump. He has not stopped talking about you since he met you. He wants to invite you and all your students down to Mar-a-Lago."
Wow. And I like that clip you played. I forgot who it was. It was a podcast. And
Shannon Sharp and Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
where she said he wasn't inviting us to dinner.
Yeah, where she said he's not going to invite them to Mar-a-Lago for dinner. And
I'm like, actually, he did.
Yeah.
A bunch of kids who he never met, never knew, never seen before. And they all showed up. We all showed up pretty deep to Mar-a-Lago. And he sat with us for 4 hours. And much like he did at the restaurant, he went around the table and he said, "How can I help you?" And he let everybody advocate for their different issues.
Asking, "How can I help you?" That sounds, should be the most basic thing, but to hear that is absolutely refreshing.
He's amazing.
But in reality, we all know Trump is not a politician.
He's not.
He's just a man's man, man. I respect that.
Now, were you always on the Trump train or a
No,
Trump train?
I grew up a generational Democrat. I was
Okay.
a big Obama fan. What's
Okay.
actually crazy is I met my first Black Republican in high school. And I grew up around, it was a majority white population, so it wasn't necessarily that rare for majority of the people around me to be Republicans. And so my house was like the only house that had John Kerry sounds up front.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we ever had a Hillary Clinton sign. I don't think my parents was ever
I
that
think
deep.
Tim had a John Kerry sign
But,
up on his yard too.
That was like the first thing about politics that I remember is like when all the signs were up and there was like a little bit of division. And now that I'm older, I understand because of everything that was going on at the time. But my parents would tell us that they go to the voting booth and they just vote for everybody Democrat. And my parents are very staunch voters. Like they vote in every election. But the research part of it, the going to the town hall meetings part of it, the showing up to the debates and stuff, that's something that they don't do.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm in high school and I meet this guy who's Black and he doesn't like Obama, I'm like, yo, what is wrong with you? What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
But he comes from a very strong military background.
Okay.
And so with everything that was going on internationally under the Obama administration, of course, would lead him to not be the biggest Obama fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, now that I understand international relations, I'm not either. And so him and I would come in class every day and he'd always have some fun fact for me as to why Obama wasn't nothing. And I'd be like, man, what? And I was on the debate team as well. Mind y'all, hey, fun fact, I am a nationally ranked debater, so don't try me. But him and I would go back and forth a lot. But because I'm a debater, I appreciate alternative information rather than getting offended by it.
Sure.
Because in order to be a good debater or lawyer, as you would know, you have to be able to defend both sides. You got to be able to rebut, refute, acknowledge, extend all of these things on the affirmative and the negative. So there was nothing that he brought to me that had me like, oh, I can't stand this man. He's just a hater. It always had me like, oh, okay, now I'm going to be a little bit smarter in this area of things. Because again, international relations wasn't a thing until he brought it to my attention. And so by the end of the year, him and I became best friends. Like now, even to this day, we're locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Shout outs to Matt Curry. But fast forward 2 years later, he goes to UGA. up in Athens, Georgia. I'm at Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia. So a mutual friend from high school goes, oh my God, you're in Georgia. Do you ever see Kayla? You know, she's out there. And he goes, no, but I would love to like, you know, connect with her, like make it happen. So Janelle Thomas, shout out to her. She goes ahead and she connects us, and he invites me to go to his timeshare with his family down on Hilton Head. I go to the timeshare and he's like, what do you want to do? And I used to want to be a lawyer, no disrespect for you, but I was like, man, defending the law was great, but now I can make the law. That's where I want to go. I want to lay down the law and force people to listen to me. Bump this one by one thing. I'm going to get them all by the thousands. And so he was like, oh, well, you should meet my grandma. And his grandma is actually Vivian Childs, somebody who is huge in Georgia politics. She's been around for forever. She's mentored people. She's ran campaigns. She's won elections. She does it all. And so she connected me with some amazing people. And she invited me to a chairman's dinner, I want to say 9 months later. This was my first big event. I had no clue what I was doing, but I didn't want to miss it because I'm like, this is my way in. And I go to that event, and you have all of these Black people in Atlanta who are there supporting Governor Nathan Deal, because Nathan Deal was our governor at the time. And I'm like, wow, like the room looked like money. It smelled like money. Everybody was happy to be there. I was like, wow, this is great. And a young woman walked right up to me. Her name was Janelle Jones at the time. She's now Janelle King. Love her. And she literally walked right up to me and was like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, I came with Miss Vivian. And she was like, oh, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a student. She goes, are you a Republican? I was like, I'm open to both sides. You know, I was a debater, so I don't necessarily feel like I could necessarily brand myself as either or. And she goes, oh, well, we have some internships available, but you got to be Republican. Pause the story right there, because you need an internship to graduate from the illustrious Clark Atlanta University. And all my friends had one by now, except for me. So I'm like, girl, I don't care what you do. We can make America great again. And so she invites me. The dinner was on Monday. She invites me to her event on Thursday. She's like, I just want you to come check it out. No pressure. I just want you to see how, you know, this is fun, this is formal, but this will be, you know, kind of more lax and, you know, still a political thing. And you can really see how we work together. And just seeing the cohesion between nightlife and politics and how connecting people is really the way to move around and really the way to get things done. I was like, I might have a knack for this. I might be great at this. So after the event, she goes, how do you feel? And I was like, girl, MAGA, 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 take me to wherever you're going. I'm with it. So then the following Monday, she takes me to the GAGOP headquarters. I interview with Josh Finlay. John Watson was the leader of the party at the time. And so got to meet him as well. And boom, I had my internship. And it was during that internship that I learned more about school choice. And I was always a fan of school choice because magnet schools were just becoming a thing in Las Vegas when I was in high school. And as a debater, hearing about, you know, the kids at the magnet schools, I was still whooping them. But hearing about the stuff they were doing in class, I felt like it was way more advanced than the things that I was doing. And I always felt like I was super smart. So I'm like, why don't I go to this school? But my mom didn't want to drive 30 minutes away to take me there because I lived in Henderson, not Las Vegas. But it's the fact that the choice was there, you know? And so the fact that if my mom didn't mind taking that drive every day, I would have been able to choose to go to a school that I felt better suited me. And so I felt like everybody should have the opportunity to choose what school better suits them. Because, I mean, maybe Larry can attest to this, but we've known some kids growing up who had to go to different schools. They had to use an auntie address or grandma address, not because of education, but literally just for safety purposes. And some of us know parents who have been arrested or fined for doing so. And so for me, I'm like, I don't think that's right. I believe you should be able to choose where you go to school. Then, you know, abortion was never something that was like celebrated in my family. I don't think abortion started being celebrated by the Black community, period, until like 4 or 5 years ago. That was something that was always kept on the hush-hush. It was something that if you did it, you know, you...
And the LBGQT,
I was just
all
gonna
that.
say
Yeah, like,
transgender,
and that stuff too, like, but that wasn't as big back then. You know, what was big was abortion, school choice, infrastructure, and a little bit of immigration. That's when it started to like really, really, really come in. And so just learning about these different things and how what I saw on CNN, because, you know, that was my news source at the time, versus what I would go learn at my internship. And I'd be like, wait a minute, this makes sense. Why didn't they tell me this on the news? I just watched a whole 30-minute special about it, and they act like the world was ending. But according to these numbers here, and according to these case studies here, this looks like something that works and something that could actually help make America great again. And so that's really what took me over. And then I worked Democratic and Republican campaigns because I was getting my money at the time. And so again, one of the reasons why I had such a large following of students is I would get students those canvassing jobs, those phone baking jobs, those sign waving jobs, because those are something that are easy. I could get you transportation. You could get paid the same day. And whatchamacallit, I could work around your school schedule. And so with me, I noticed that I would go and I would send 10, 15 kids to a Democrat, and they'd work with them for like a good 30, 60, 90 days. That person would win, forget about my kids. I'd send them to a Republican, right? 30, 60, 90 days. That person would win, and they're always checking on my kids.
Really?
They have an open door policy for my kids. When your kids graduate, you can send them to me if they look to work in this field.
Do you think it's more so the person instead of the party?
No.
I don't believe in everyone is the same. I don't believe just because a person Republican or Democrat is that. I believe it's the individual. So the individual that won probably did that, and the individual that lost done the same thing. Because if you let's take our senator of this great state of Florida. You hear so many things about Mr. Rick Scott. You do anything with him, you're going to get a thank you. Mm-hmm. If you call him, you're going to be able to get a return call some way, somehow from somebody in his office within 48 hours, period. And he was the governor then, and now he's the U.S. senator. But then, to the contrary, you talk about someone like our current governor, Ron DeSantis. People like this man don't say thank you. He don't say this. He don't do that. And, they both Republicans. So one shoe don't fit all just because of the same party. But that's here and there. I want to ask you this here, though. We was in Atlanta. We was doing our thing. How did it feel to be on that stage with thousands and thousands of people in that arena, you opening up, doing your thing, strutting on up there to open up for the president, and then the president acknowledged you, and then talking about, that's the only girl I kissed. I told Melania. So, and you lit it on fire. And people, y'all can watch it on YouTube. Go check it out. She put Atlanta, that place, I can't even think of the name of it, that Coliseum on fire. So tell me, how did it make you feel to be opening up for the president, most powerful man in the free world?
So I was in my element. Original oratory has always been my thing. The personality speaks for itself, and people saw it in the Chick-Fil-A video. But I think because all they saw was personality, a lot of people denied the fact that I might actually be smart as well. And so when I was able to give that speech, it was like, yeah, y'all, I'm a force to be reckoned with. Like, I wasn't nervous. The only thing I was nervous about is the fact that I went overtime. I was only supposed to speak for 3 minutes. But as I was going, I was looking around. I was like, the crowd is eating this up. They're loving it. And I was like, Secret Service going to have to come tackle me. I'm going to finish what I have to say. And it was amazing. And the fact that I got a call immediately afterwards from Lynn to tell me that the president was watching.
Lynn Patton, shout out to Lynn Patton.
That the president was watching on the plane and sent me pictures and was like, he is in love, like he's amazed. And then, he came out and then he called me back up on stage. Like, you don't see that happen too often. Mm-hmm. And so that was just incredible. And then, of course, everybody knew me as the Chick-Fil-A girl. I was hoping that would be my opportunity to divert their attention away from a fast food restaurant to, oh, wow, this chick is really a political powerhouse that we need to keep on our radar. And I mean, I did that, but you can't brush the Chick-Fil-A stuff off.
But you'll take Chick-Fil-A if it was like Wendy's or
I was proud of
McDonald's or so. Chick-Fil-A girl's not too bad.
No. Man, listen, just being there, and she asking me these questions and everything else. But man, I was so proud to see her, the way I talking about, man, that arena blew up. And I'm looking around.
You were there.
Yeah, I was there. Mm-hmm. I was there. Oh yeah, man, phone blowing up. Oh, Larry, we see you on TV.
I was one of them.
Yeah, you were.
As a matter of fact, when we had Chris Hudson on Friday on the live show, the picture that Tim used was you and Byron at the convention. He was interviewing him, yeah.
And I was like, man, this is just amazing. You see, because with all the stereotypes and everything else, you see this young black woman and you see her arena, his majority Caucasian, and how they just going crazy as she spoke, which she spoke nothing but facts, lit it up and destroyed Miss Harris. And I'm just like...
Not a hard thing to do, but still.
But man, I was so proud. It was almost like looking at a child. I'm like, man,
Can
She
you,
killing it.
can you, when we started the Young Republicans back in 09, 010, because we traveled a lot. You traveled more than I did.
Yeah, I did all the traveling. Don't say
Well,
we traveled. I did all the
traveled
traveling.
too, but where I'm going with this is 15 years ago, you didn't see the diversity in the Republican Party like you do now. This is kind of like the vision that we sought out to make become like the cool party to be part of, and that's really changed.
It's for this exact same reason. And it's like, she's bold, Sister Soldier. She's bold. I'm who I am. My principles just like yours. I might look different,
Right.
but man, we on the same team. I'm wearing the fro. You got your hair slick, whatever. So I'm gonna do my thing, and I'm gonna take it back to the place where I come from, and also gonna do the same thing. And we all gonna be cool. And the more people was coming out the closet, the more people saying it's okay, and it's just gonna continue to grow. And honestly, President Trump, he's the main reason why it has grown the way it has grown.
Yeah,
And it's not the Republican Party,
I agree.
because they don't do nothing. It's the person who represents. He's the face. And because he's willing to go to those places, he's willing to talk to these people, he's willing to bring them in, he's willing to break bread with them and everything else. When a lot of other head people in the Republican Party, they don't do the same. They don't do the same. It's like they afraid, they scared, they stay away. But no, you got to cross that bridge, baby.
And it'll be interesting to see after Trump gets out of office.
I'm afraid of that.
We'll
Because I know for a fact, and she could testify, a lot of us can, like, a lot of minorities like President Trump instead of the Republican
someone's got to
Party.
pick up that baton.
Because the Republican Party have not tried to do things, have not came to these areas, haven't talked about anything. Mr. Trump has. Mr. Trump has.
How many times have you been around President Trump since you met him at Chick-Fil-A?
I honestly
Can't
run
even
out of fingers.
Yeah,
A lot.
yeah.
Because like right after the speech, and that's the thing, everybody thought I was like some paid plant. I never got money for any of that. When I heard that he was coming to Atlanta, I reached out to the same people who helped organize our Mar-a-Lago trip and asked them if I could give a speech, because I knew that people spoke before the president came out, and they were like, hell yeah. And then so I wrote my little speech literally in like 20 minutes. And then just kept reading it over and over and over, because one thing I hate is looking down at paper the whole time that you're speaking. That was a big thing as far as being an orator, being in forensics, period, is like try not to look down so much. So it's been great. Like he really, as soon as I got off stage, I get a text on my phone from his now deputy chief of staff, like, you ready to come work for us? And I was like, I've been ready. What's up? And the paperwork was sent over that same week. And
So you jumped on the Trump campaign like around
August.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting paid by anybody in the Trump campaign, Republican Party, none of that until August after I gave that speech. And they were like, oh, okay. Because, even my news hits and everything like that was just me. And, much like Larry said, I don't necessarily look like the people who came before me. I look very different than Omarosa and Candace Owens and Condoleezza Rice, However, we do share the same principles. And if these women, can go back into the Black community and be respected for their work, then maybe if we have somebody that, isn't necessarily trying to assimilate into a different image, they might be more receptive to listening, And it's like with other people, you gotta clean up how you talk. I cleaned it up a little bit, but not that much, And it's still like that relatability is what draws people to you. People will tell you that, you don't want to be too Afrocentric with your look. And it's like being me is what draws people to me. So it's like you gotta be willing to not just deliver the message, but be authentic in your messaging, because our communities pick up on that if things seem a little fake. So if you change your whole look and your whole persona to fit in, yes, you might be coming back to deliver us the right information, but we're going to be iffy about it because you changed who you were to fit in with a certain group of people. With me, I don't have that issue. Like a lot of people are talking about how they came out and supported Trump and their families turned against them and their friends turned against them. Michaelah always been crazy. Nobody was surprised to see me pop out for that man. But also, I had been an intern with the Republican Party since 2017. So, from 2017 to 2019. But still, it's like, I had been around. People showed up to my meetings and like, it was crazy the the backlash that came after the Chick-fil-A thing, because when I was in college, I was interning for the Republican Party, and I was loud and proud about it. Like, I work under Trump. I work under Trump. I work under Trump. And at that time, it wasn't a thing where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you support him. People would be like, oh wow, Kayla, that's really interesting. Tell us why. So I'm interested in figuring out when the shift happened between people wanting to know, wanting to know more about that side to being completely like, oh, hell no, I could never talk to anybody that supports that man and all of these things. Because that wasn't my experience. And so, and then, like to Larry's point earlier about how, Democrats and Republicans, things are different. My experience just in Georgia, and I had only did local politics. I had never did anything national. And it's just like, when you're a minority and you're trying to get the messaging out to minorities, I noticed that in Georgia, everybody was really uplifting each other. So that gatekeeping stuff that they talk about, I had never experienced that. That competition aspect that exists, I had never heard about that. All that inbred fighting and stuff like that, I had never experienced any of that. Everybody is like, hey, we have a mission, we have a goal, and this is what we need to do to achieve it. And if you're willing to help us do that, then you're a part of the clique.
Yeah.
And, but now as you move up to higher levels, like, yeah, I have met, Republicans who weren't that nice to me. But and in that term, then yes, I think it's the person, personality wise. But when you look at the overall people saying, here's what we want to do, I feel like Democrats do a really good job at telling you they want to do something to sell you a dream so that they can gain your support. Absolutely. I feel like Republicans actually put into work to achieve that goal so that they earn your support, True. And so that was the experience that I had. And that's what I meant when I said earlier that I don't think it's the person. I definitely think
now
it's
you've
the
been around politics for a minute now, obviously.
Yeah.
Is Kamala Harris as bad of a presidential candidate as you've seen since you've been following politics?
Yes, because of what they made her represent. They tried to make Kamala Harris represent black women. Not every black woman had to sleep with somebody to get to where they were.
Yeah.
I, right now, am still fighting allegations of sleeping with Trump. And so it's like, I'm like, what? Like, but that's for real. But you have somebody like Kamala, and it's like, okay, it's not that far off. And she was loud and proud about it, taking pictures with that man while he had a wife, like literally coming out. And so it's just like, as a black woman, when they talk about working twice as hard to get half, it's like, why would we allow her, somebody who represents all the things we don't want to be talked about? We don't want to be seen as somebody who slept their way to get there. We don't want to be seen as overly promiscuous. So why did you have Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla twerking at your rallies? We don't want to be seen as, incompetent. So why are you stuttering with all of your answers? We don't want to be seen as weak or emotional. So why didn't you address your supporters when you lost? Like, she wasn't necessarily a bad candidate because the girl is educated. She has her degree. She has her titles. That's great. But as far as being a representation of the community that you leaned on to support you, that you leaned on to push you over.
You're not that.
You were not that. And I feel like with her and all the things she would have messed up, instead of opening doors for other little black girls and brown girls, she would have closed them. Because they would have been like, see what happened when we give y'all a chance? Look at what you do. And so it's like, if we get somebody in there, it's got to be the best of the best. And she's good, but she wasn't the best of the best. It had nothing to do with her being black. It had nothing to do with her being, her claiming to be black.
Did you look at her as a black, from a black female
When she first came out, yes, because I didn't really know much of anything. But I'm from the West Coast, so nobody liked Kamala to begin with.
Yeah.
So I was surprised that California,
she used to put away,
Yes, I know people whose mom she's locked up for truancy.
She'd laugh, her and her husband smoking weed at night as they put,
people in jail for weed.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And then, lying about listening to Tupac when she was in college. Like, girl, like what? Like, it's just, but even before then, like in my middle school and high school days, when the truancy laws were coming out that she was enforcing, I knew a lot of people who were affected by that. And it's like, you can't necessarily, if a mom is working 3 jobs, she's a single mom, working 3 jobs to keep a roof over her kid's head, you can't necessarily punish her for the things she doesn't know is happening when she's trying her best. Sure. If you lock up a mother who's working 3 jobs to pay her bills, even her missing 1 day of work at either of her jobs could set her back tremendously. People were losing their homes. People were losing their cars. Kids were going to bed hungry because of Kamala Harris. She wasn't doing her due diligence. One of the most famous cases was the young girl who had sickle cell, who missed a lot of school because she had sickle cell. So when Kamala rolled out this new policy that if these kids were missing too much school, their parents were going to be arrested, all she did was ask for the records of the students who had been absent the most. And this young girl with sickle cell happened to be the number 1. And they went in and arrested her mom while her mom was at work.
Jeez.
didn't even ask why the little girl missed so much school, didn't do the proper research as an
I
attorney
remember that.
Yeah.
to make sure that she was getting the right person. Just went in and took him to make an example out of somebody. And that is one thing that I have always despised about the criminal justice system is they always feel the need to make examples out of people. And I felt like that was one of the reasons why I wanted to be an attorney, because I hated hearing about men getting pulled over and having like an eighth of weed on them and they're in jail for 10, 20 years because the prosecutor felt the need to make an example out of them. I hate hearing about a young man stealing a loaf of bread from the store and now he's in juvie for 2 years because the prosecutor felt the need to make an example out of him. We don't need to make examples out of people. The whole point of the criminal justice system is to rehabilitate and redirect people. You're not doing that by over punishing them. So Kamala Harris never had a good taste in our mouths.
Now, what if Michelle Obama ran against Trump? What do you think the outcome would have been?
No, I don't think so either. Only because Michelle Obama, when you look at what she did with school lunches, and when you look at the fact that, again, she's a notable figure, yes, and that's great, but we don't want necessarily a continuation of her husband. And I feel like what we realized with Biden running was that Biden was trying to be a continuation of Obama. And so a Michelle Obama would have been a continuation of that. We definitely would be worse off. Our international affairs would just be in the trash. Our economy would be spiraling downwards. It would be too much. And then, of course, all this LGBTQ stuff, that all Obama opened the door for all that. So we can only imagine what in the world Michelle would have done. For instance, right now you have people marching the streets in New York because they're upset that two 12-year-olds couldn't get their genitals cut off because of the new Trump laws, right? Michelle Obama would have definitely allowed that and said, hey, bring the genitals to me so we can put them on somebody else, So it's just like... I think that because of how the Democratic Party has leaned so far left and how they've leaned so much on these super radical policies, even Michelle Obama wouldn't have had a chance. Now, she would have done better than Kamala, yes, but she wouldn't have beat Trump.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Tell us a couple fun things that people may not know about President Trump since you've been around so much.
President Trump is nothing like what you guys see on TV. The TV purposely makes him look discolored. He doesn't look like that in person. So all the orange and Cheeto jokes... That's all a ploy. He is definitely just as funny as you think he is. Oh my God. And all he wants to do is tell stories. Like all he wants to do is sit there and like talk to you. Like, I don't think sometimes he even remembers that he's the president. I think he's like, oh yeah, I'm Donald Trump. Hey, how are you? He's literally just a regular guy who wants to help people. And he's like, and I think he knows he has the ability to help people. And that's why he might be so humble about it and so willing to listen to people. But that man is overall just great. And if one thing that my students said after our trip to Mar-a-Lago, all of them said the same thing. And that's, I wish more people had the opportunity to experience him the way we just experienced him, because then the world would love him. But not a lot of people get to go to Mar-a-Lago, let alone have a private dinner with the president, So a lot of people won't be able to experience him in that way. But again, that encouraged those students to go back to their respective campuses and encourage their colleagues to do their due diligence in terms of research, in terms of watching different news outlets and not just CNN and MSNBC. Like, yes, turn it on to Fox. Yes, watch a little bit of C-SPAN. Actually read the bills yourself, because these people aren't as bad as the world wants you to think that they are. And if everybody all of a sudden wakes up one day and tells you to hate somebody, more than likely that person is the last person you need to be hating.
Real quick, because we're going to play this little game called Rapid Fire. Someone interesting that you met at the Republican convention that really stood out to you, like, wow, I didn't know this person, or got a different vibe from him or her?
Nobody. I think everybody's a Republican.
Okay.
I think that value-wise, if people really paid attention to what they value, everybody's a Republican. I don't know too many parents who are advocating that their kids get a sex change.
I really enjoyed meeting that person.
I met Larry, and that was great. And then he introduced me to Nicole Frazier, and she's amazing. But these are people who, you would expect to be there. I didn't necessarily see anybody that surprised me.
Okay.
but I'm also not surprised. Again, I was a debater.
Nicole served with Trump.
And we got to give a shout out to Eric Green too. That's our guy.
I love Eric, but so Larry introduced me to Eric. Larry brought him to an event I was hosting in Atlanta, and Larry's been a guy. Larry's a godsend as well, but Eric has been a godsend since I met him. Eric's been driving me all through Florida since I got here.
Yeah, so. He helped put this together.
Yes,
obviously
that's my love.
Larry did.
Love you, Eric.
Love Eric Green. Big shout out to Eric Green. All right, so we're gonna play this game. It's called Rapid Fire. You got to pick one or the other. If you pick both, we call you a Democrat. We certainly don't want that. So,
Yeah.
again, it's a little bit of a tough list, but it's going to be a little ATL theme since I know you got some roots in the A.
Call you Maxine Waters.
I'll just reclaim my time. Y'all finna stop that.
You ready for the standard one?
Standard one. I always open with this standard question. It's crazy. 50 Cent or Jigga?
I mean, I'm younger than y'all, so 50 Cent. Sorry.
Thank you all.
In the club, you know, PIMP, you know, like
Great businessman.
21 Questions.
Yeah.
Like Jay-Z's The Blueprint wasn't as attractive to me as the stuff 50 Cent was putting out. Then, you know, he put out Get Rich or Die Trying. Where is Jay-Z's movie
Classic
at?
album.
Like, come on now.
The movie, and he owns a bunch of shows. And
Yes, and I'm a big Power fan. So, yeah, you could, yeah, sorry. I love Beyonce, though. So, look, there's that, but nah.
All right, how about Pac or Biggie?
I'm a West Coast girly. It's Pac all day.
2-1-2 for or let's go Atlanta, T.I. or Jeezy.
Oh, wow. So you trying to get me in trouble. Well.
It's not going to be easy.
Well. Younger me would say T.I. because I knew him better, heard his music more. Older me is a big Jeezy fan. But Jeezy be with them dim. So you know what? I'm going to have to go ahead and say T.I. T.I. cool. Well, T.I. be doing the same thing. After how
Yeah, I'm about to
did
say
Candace
T.I.,
Owens.
yeah.
After, well, you know, I know some behind the scenes. I'm like, nah. But no, I will say overall, I'll give it to T.I. Overall, I'd have to give it.
By the way, 50 was going to be at the convention. Someone talked him out of it. I got that from a good source.
yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm.
Fox News or Newsmax?
Fox.
Byron Donalds or J.D. Vance?
Wow. Ooh, because they both have very, 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 very astute qualities about them that are very defining, you know?
Boy, that is a political answer. I just need one or the other.
I know, but like when I met JD Vance literally took my breath away. I was like, I don't know what to say to you. Like he knew my name and everything. It was crazy. But Byron is like a friend to me. So it's like, dang. And like seeing him do what he does, it's like, wow.
Put it to you this way. Here, I'll put it to you this way. Who should have been the VP? JD or Byron? If you had to choose.
If I had to choose.
Maxine Waters, man.
I'm going to plead the fifth.
She's Maxine Waters.
Yeah,
She's a Democrat.
Wow.
She's a Democrat.
Because you got to look at it like the fact that Trump picked JD made me happy because JD wasn't always a Trumper. And that just goes to show how people grow and how Trump is open to building relationships with people who don't always agree with him. However, with Byron Donalds, that would have been our first black VP. Then Byron Donalds, to me, really represents the epitome of what a black man should be. And with the Democrats working overtime to feminize black men and just men, period, Byron always walking up with his chest out and his muscles about to pop out his shirt. It's like, I like this. And he always stands 10 toes on what he says, regardless of how much backlash he gets. So I got to plead the fifth on that one because they both represent something
JD's
amazing.
time was to be vice president. Maybe Byron's bigger calling is to be governor of Florida, and they'll both make great presidents one day.
Yes. I would love to see a duo ticket with those two. That'd be incredible.
That would be a good one. Aaliyah or Mary J. Blige?
Dang.
That's easy.
Yeah, because it's like not Auntie Mary, but
Mary J.
I'm gonna have to go with Aaliyah though. Like
Really?
Yeah. I love Auntie Mary. I really do. Her songs are classic, but I mean Aaliyah was just more impactful during my time. She died in 2001. I was really young, yes. But I mean, I still listen to all of her albums to this day.
Big Boy or Ludacris?
Ludacris.
I disagree. But that's
Really?
okay. Yeah. Snowfall or Power?
Power.
Really?
Yeah.
You watch Snowfall?
Yeah, and I just kept falling asleep. It just I don't know. I like how politically charged Snowfall was, but I don't know.
A deeper message.
Mid-season 3 is kind of where I fell off. I'm down to finishing because I heard it's definitely worth it, but
The Snowfall? You didn't finish Snowfall?
I didn't finish it.
Oh, the last episode, was absolutely powerful. That'll might change your perspective on it. Lil Wayne or Kendrick?
Lil Wayne.
Eve or Lil Kim?
Lil Kim.
All right, see how easy that is? And Larry Love or Eric Green?
Oh.
Damn, Larry, you know I love you, but like Eric's my husband in my head. So,
Oh, my,
So you
my,
say
my.
Eric is
I
a
love
better
that
looking
man.
male than Larry Love?
Ain't nobody said nothing about better looking.
No.
I'm the best looking man on this planet.
According to who?
According to myself.
Well,
Nah.
that's one vote. I
But
guess.
you know, all the ladies love Larry. Eric's a
Oh,
bit more
they-
low key.
Yeah.
You know, I need a low key man because I'm all outside and stuff. You know, everybody,
You
all the
are,
ladies
yeah.
love me too. Shoot,
Nobody don't love me. Don't put all the ladies on me. That's not.
Oh no, I'm putting all the ladies on you. You be tall with the hat. They be like, "Who that man over there?" Then he starts smiling. He light up the whole room.
Larry's
I
Larry's
can't have
roster's
nobody
pretty
like
solid.
that with me. It's just gonna be too much. I'm gonna be fighting the rest of my life. No, Eric, it's a nice little. He's just
See, Eric has an aura about him.
yes.
You
Just
talk about this aura you have around you, and maybe you do, but Eric, to me, like
Eric talked about the aura when he was on the show. Like, man, I
I'm
can't
just
go nowhere with
telling you
Larry.
yeah.
exactly. Like we
can't-
just.
I don't know.
You would need the female equivalent to like an Eric, somebody who's more reserved and just chill. You can't have me and Larry, please. The world will blow up.
That's like throwing what do you call it, in a bottle. And I think Eric's got a bright future in politics if he chooses to go that way. So this is a great segue into, and we'll close the show out like this: future in politics, running for office. You can
Yeah, so
announce
my
it
goal
here if
has
you'd like.
always
What's-
been to
what's-
run for office.
What do you have your eyes set on, possibly?
The end goal,
Mhm.
and I got time because I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
But the end goal is to be a senator.
Okay.
And so, you know, my trajectory, I thought I was going to start off in city council. That was actually my goal. I had moved to the district and everything because I got the ask to run. And then I met Trump a week later. So I was like, shoot, I don't got to do this. I could go straight to Congress now. So now it's like, okay.
You have that Trump endorsement.
You know,
Thank
we're looking at that. So it's like, okay.
Okay.
But however I get there, but the end goal, you know, 60-year-old Kayla would like to be a U.S. senator.
I think you're
In the
on your way.
meantime, yeah, I don't mind
you're on
helping
your
everybody
way.
else get to where they at. Cause woo-wee, when I call for that fundraising, hello, pick up.
Well, we got you. Anything we can do to support you, and absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for making a special trip.
Thank
to
you
come
guys
on
for
with us.
having me. It's been wonderful.
Anytime
you
you
know?
got to come back. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Also, we got someone stopped by the studio. You know, some know him as Dr. Clark, but he's also a fine Republican man. And I say, man, come on over here. Come on in so we can give you a few.
Maybe you can adjust Tim's back because Tim threw his back out over the weekend. So.
Man, you know what? This is the second week in a row. We done had 3 Republican Negroes on the show.
Had to go there.
I can honestly say that. My brother, man. There's a lot of rumors. I'm getting straight to it, man. I seen where Representative Mello filed her Senate papers with the backing of Pasadomo. The rumors are now put to bed. Her seat is available. The words on the street, you're running.
Absolutely right. I told Mello a while ago that I would not challenge her seat, and Representative Mello did a good job. There was no reason to challenge her seat, but when this seat is open, this was the original seat that I had my eye on in the very beginning.
I know that.
So when she officially filed her paperwork, I saw it. I filed my paperwork the next day.
Good job.
So at this point, I believe right now we're at a critical juncture in the country, and we need to make sure that we keep strong leadership in the right positions. And with that seat opening up, I think it's an opportunity to put someone there that has a love for this country, a love for this state, that stands on their values, faith, family, freedom. I'm a family man.
I do know that.
I got 5 kids, 4 girls, 1 boy.
You don't believe in contraceptives.
So, so all that's in God's hands. But you know, I want my kids to grow up in a country to have better opportunities than I do.
Man, honestly, you know, it's been some rumors, Bogan, McDaniel, whomever, since that was your eye at the beginning of time. I like you as the front runner. Whoever going to challenge you, I would love to see them actually debate you, especially have to research against you. I'm going to be very, very nearby. Oh, he always get my endorsement, period. Because I seen what he done prior. When he first ran, he jumped in the race late against Mello. You know, and I know I was already, behind Mello, and he came in, but I still liked him. And I always told him, man, The next time you do something, I stand on word. My word is my bond. I said, man, you just got to be patient. I always tell them, you never know when it's your time. And now I really feel like it's your time. My word is my bond. I got to stand on it. So, anything I can do, my brother, I'm with you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that full-hearted. I'm willing to debate anybody at this particular point.
I love it.
The way I look at it, this is my seat. That's why I jumped in first. I jumped in on top, and you're gonna have to chase me to get it. So at this particular point, I'm gonna do the groundwork. Nobody's gonna outwork me. That's just not gonna happen. That's not how I was
Is that
raised.
a Southern thing?
I don't know what it is.
Because I always say that. I always, you
Nobody's
can't
gonna
outwork
do
me.
So whoever decides to jump in, if they decide to jump in, just know that you're gonna have to put in work.
What's your name again?
Dr. Drew Montez Clark.
Y'all heard it here first. You heard it here first.
Let's do it.
I can't vote in Florida.
You can't vote in Florida.
We rolling, baby. Listen, you know what? How we gonna close it out? Close it out with prayer, my brother.
Absolutely. Father, we thank you. We come to you as humbly as we know how. We want to pray for leadership in this country. We want to make sure that we have the authority, power, strength to stand on truth, to lead with biblical values, to stand beside one another, unite this country. We pray for even the leadership that we don't agree with, because that's what God calls us to do. But we're going to stand on truth, biblical principles, family values, and we want to see this country thrive for another 250 years. I appreciate you bringing me on the show, and we're always going to put God first. All these things we ask in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Till then, see y'all on another one.